Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here back at Painted Studio. Thank you for coming in. It is very rainy outside, very damp outside, so I'm really happy to be here. Now give me just a second. Let me arrange my camera so I can, or my iPad so I can see if you all coming in and have questions and that sort of thing. All right, I'll give everybody a couple minutes to come in. Fridays are, everybody's ready to get home and look forward to doing something fun, so I'm here to share some fun stuff. The day before yesterday, we were working on the apron with the heat transfer vinyl adhesive and the pre-cut patterns. We may do some of that today. It depends on how the scheduling goes. If not, we'll do it tomorrow. It'll still be there. Today, you all know I had that chair that I gilded in the back of the studio, and the undercolor was this color. Yes, I know this is an ad for something else. I think it's for Square, but I needed a color swatch to go to the fabric stores to find a fabric. Well, I found a fabric. It is literally identical. Well, that's not identical, but the top side of it is identical. But it was plain, and what this actually is ultra suede. Now, I loved the color. It was what I wanted, but it didn't have any pattern. I ended up buying a damask pattern or a brocade that I really liked, but it was not the right color again. So I'll save that. I'll use it for another chair. I've got plenty of projects to use it for. So I'll build a chair around that fabric. And meanwhile, I have this beautiful pink ultra suede that I was really happy with, but I didn't like the pattern or I didn't like that there was no pattern. So I got it back here, and the question I had with ultra suede is because it's got this texture and it has a direction, can I use either HTVA, heat transfer vinyl adhesive, or one of our liquid adhesives for foil and have them work. So this was my little test piece. Okay, right over here, I just took a little piece of HTVA and transferred, and guess what? It transferred beautifully, and I did not have, when I ironed it down, it did not lose the texture, which was the big thing I was afraid of, because that can happen with napped fabrics. I was originally thinking velvet, and doing something like this would have probably created a crushed velvet texture because I was putting heat on here. But because ultra suede is not a real suede, it maintained its nap texture, and so it still worked fine. This pattern was through one of our stencils, and I used our Deco foil transfer gel, and that gave me a wonderful release as well. So I decided that I was going to continue with the Deco foil, because then I could use a lot of it and create a mightily, a whole textured piece and get what I wanted for the chair seat that I was creating. So I'm going to flip the camera down. You'll see what I've done so far. You're going to see how we're going to proceed. And then if there's time, we'll do a little HTVA as well. Let me see who's here, see if anybody's... Hey, Dolly, nice to see you. Desiree, nice to see you too. I appreciate you guys coming in here on a Friday. All right, let me turn the camera down. Okay, so here you can see my fabric. Yesterday, I did what I would call the center medallion. We used a stencil that I carry. This is called let's see, make sure I'm not lying that it's called Peacock. This is the stencil. It's from designed by Renee Holder at Two Chatty Chicks. You can see I've used it any number of times. And we used it to apply our Deco transfer gel. Now, the cool thing with this Deco transfer gel is that you can use it with or without heat, meaning that you apply it and it's going to stay sticky. Once it turns clear, it stays sticky for quite a while. But if you walk away, forget to do it, run out of time in your day, you can come back and do it with heat as well. Meaning you can put the foil on here and transfer the pattern with an iron. I love the fact that I don't have to do that. This is one of the things that I really love about the Deco Duo Gel. Ooh, I'm so happy about this now. So you can see this is how we did it over here. This is a little like when I create patterns for walls or furniture. I do a center medallion first. Oh, phew. I thought I hit my phone. We're live. Hopefully we come back in a second. There we go. We're back. Sorry about that. I hit my phone with the roll of foil and that wanted to make it go dark. So we are still here. All right, I'm going to put this foil. This is our Ramsay's Roses Gold. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see a little better what I'm doing. Okay, you can see here, I've got the foil laid out. Smooth it down with my hands. And again, just take a little brush, give it a scrub. Now, I have one spot on here that was not completely clear dried, but of course, I'm not worrying about this edge either because that will probably be under the chair seat if it makes it onto the chair at all, because I cut a piece way bigger than I need for my seat. I actually specifically went, measured it out, made sure I had enough fabric to do this, but was generous in my cutting so I didn't have to worry about that. Okay, let's make sure I got a little bit. Okay, this will come off a little sticky because this is very, very fresh. Again, do not pull this straight up. You don't want to put that tension on the fabric. Pull it sideways, perfectly parallel to your surface. Look how nicely that came out. Now, if I thought I had a couple spots where it was a little thin, like maybe right there, I come in with my fingers, give it a little rub, release a little more. I'm always looking for the thin spots. And maybe a couple thin spots here. Usually I turn all of this stuff around in different positions, you know that, so the light hits it differently, and I can see if I've skipped a spot, but that might have to wait until later. So again, I got here, I got here. And how do I know it's a thin spot? Because I can see the pink through it. Now, I will tell you, this may soak through your fabric a little bit. You can see it from the back, it soaks through. That doesn't provide a problem for me because I'm on this piece of wood, and actually that little tiny bit of stickiness that starts building up on the wood helps keep the fabric stable. It actually works almost like a tacky board, like the boards that you use to put stuff into your Cricut or your Silhouette. And it's really, really helpful. So let me move things around a little bit. Okay, let me make sure you're seeing all of this just right. Okay, there's our next spot that we, oh geez. The zoom in out on the camera. I hope I'm not making anybody seasick. Okay, so here's our next spot that we need to do. And where did my scissor go? There it is. So it looks like I'm just doing 3 across right now. I'm not. I'm going to be filling in this pattern a little more. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So first, let's put this on. I love this Ramsay's Roses Gold for this because this gives some highs and lows in the sheen on the gold. And if you've got unevenness, that actually hides it a little bit. It works really, really nicely for this. I got a little tear in it right there. I must have stabbed it with something. There's probably an X-Acto knife floating around here that's buried under stuff. Let's hope I don't stab myself. All right, let's get all of this down. Check your edges. I like to, you know, me, I like to kind of feel for things, make sure I've got everything in there. Somebody texted me the other day, those of you who signed up for notifications and don't get them from us about going live anymore, there's a reason. The app that we were all using to give notifications stopped having permissions, and we were in a position where if we continued to use it just to notify you like we always did that we were going live, we could have lost our business page. So we haven't used it, and we keep hoping that maybe they'll figure out something in the app, but I'm guessing since that they haven't done so in the last 2 years, they're probably not going to. But we haven't found another way other than text messaging, and I have not investigated the app for that because I have to determine if it's cost effective, since that one does actually cost us money. But those of you who follow Jennifer Ferguson, you know the texting app. So I have to decide whether or not that's going to be my next step, but we don't want to do anything to lose our business page. Okay, so now I've got 3 across complete, and this pattern actually looks best if it's staggered. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then 2 patterns in here. Now I'm not going to be able to do that whole thing today. It just doesn't work that way. So what I have to do, all right, I'm sorry, I got to turn this around so I can actually see it upside down. I know I could probably do it upside down, but it helps me more if I can actually see it. It helps me with my placement. So what I'm doing is making sure it's centered and making sure I actually created registrations marks here, and quite frankly they were absolutely useless because the pattern doesn't lay that way. So I'm just going to make a little mark here and a little mark here because that's about perfectly square, just so that when I start moving it around I can find the pattern. It will be spaced pretty reasonably. All right, so now I've got the rest of the stencil laid out. Let me do this. Again, this is not a stencil that was designed with a repeat pattern, so I made it harder for myself by wanting to make it a repeat pattern item. Let me open the camera up now so we can see what's exactly going on. The next thing I'm going to do, oh, where is everything? I move stuff around so much and so fast, sometimes I lose track of it. And I know I brought myself a little, whoops, sorry, little key card from a hotel room over here to use on this. And oh, there it is. It's white. I couldn't see it. Okay, so we're going to fill this in next, and then I will see if I can move it over here. If the stencil overlaps, I don't want to get pattern touching each other and making a mess. So let's, I don't want the stencil squishing more product on top of itself. That's a big way to get terrible bleeds. But as you can see, I take a little bit on a hotel room key, or, an old Blockbuster card, or, any of those cards all those membership cards that we all used to have now that we don't need them because everything's on an app. Save those cards, use them for projects like this. And I take my transfer gel. Again, it is the Deco Foil Transfer Gel Duo. The product means, by Duo, it means that you can use it with heat or on its own. So I will be here later until this is dry enough, because I don't want to use it with heat if I don't have to. I hate ironing. And you know that. You'll see me use the heat transfer gel adhesive, the HTVA, shortly. And we all know, ironing, I am not a gifted ironer. I always get stuff, especially when I'm working with creative stuff, I get things stuck on the iron, I goo up the iron. I do make some pretty patterns, but man, I can mess up an iron. I'm not trying to get all the way to the edge of the fabric because that's not important. I just want to get all of the openings with some of the foil adhesive in it. Lightly scrape down any of the extra stuff. Okay, and then we're going to pull this off. And you see how I have that nice pattern again. I'm going to set my stencil back here for a moment. And carefully, as in get the rest of my crap out of the way, Maury. See if I can repeat the pattern here or if I'm going to have to do it down below. I won't know until I put the stencil on it. We're going to find out right now because I really don't want to screw this up, but I think I'm okay. Get this down centered. That there. Now again, because this is hand placed, yeah, I'm not super accurate with this. As you can see, I tried to create my registration marks, but again, for what this is going to be, it'll be perfect. It'll be good enough. So I'm going to fill this part in. And then to let this set up and dry so it's ready to use, I put it over the back of another chair across the room where I can't mess with it because we all, like I said, you know me, I can make messes of things in ways that surprise even me. So to protect it, I take it across the room. So as soon as I'm done with this, and we are going to do the bottom part of this too, so as soon as I'm done with this, I will take it and remove it so that when we do the HTVA part of today's live, I don't mess this up. It's really coming out nicely. I'm really happy with what's happening here, so I really, really, really don't want to screw it up. And then when you're done with the stencil and everything, just take it back to your sink. If there's any built up on there, scrape it off, put it back in the jar, and then go wash your stencil. Do not let this stay on your stencil. Your stencil will be really sticky. You don't want stuff like this building up on a stencil. It makes the holes smaller. Oh, that's coming out so pretty. All right, now here's the challenge. I've got to move this and not screw it up. Hold your breath, everybody. Okay, I got that moved there. We're going to put the pattern down in here. All right, let's find the center here. Let's find me as close to the center. And I don't want to crowd it because it's not too crowded up there. So let's make sure I don't crowd. This is the part that I'll put on here. And then we'll move over and do it there. And that will be more than enough to cover, once this is dried, more than enough to cover the small seat for the pink and gold chair. I'm telling you, it's pretty cool. You can create your own fabrics. I love this. You buy the fabric solid and then you put your own metallic pattern on here. I think that's pretty awesome. Let's get this on here. I need to do one other thing. I need to pull this little piece of wood under here down just a little, so let me carefully do that so I don't screw up the other parts. There we go. It's not screwed up. Yay! I get so excited when I don't screw something up. Okay, that part's done. Let's pull the stencil off carefully. And then I just have one more spot to do over there. So we'll set this back here. And I'm going to carefully move the fabric. Be patient with me because really I'm trying so hard not to mess this up. Now obviously if I were working on a bigger surface, if I had a bigger, you know, I like the idea of doing this on the wood because the wood grabs it really nicely. But if I were doing a bigger piece, I'd have a larger surface that I was doing this on. Without a doubt. Make sure I am about right here. Looks about right. And I have one tiny little bleed here, which I'm just going to kind of clean up with my tweezer, and then I'll come back in with a Q-tip, and that'll get fixed very easily. That was not for moving it around. I had a little bleed under. And where did I put my card? Here it is. Okay. Got this all the way over there, and I didn't. Let's rotate this ever so slightly. There we go. I just didn't have it flat under here. I thought I did, but it wasn't. So I couldn't get this edge detail done here. Hey Lucy, nice to see you here. Thanks for coming in. So again, we're just gonna put this on here, and again, this very front edge does not really matter because it's going to go under, but I'd really like to try to get it done as well as possible so that there's a little buckle here, and I'm cleaning that up. It won't even be seen by the end because this part will be under the seat. Okay. So this is going to make a really, really nice pattern for my seat. There we go. So what's going to happen is this medallion is going to be in the center, and we're going to see a little bit of all of this probably at the edges at the very most because it is a very small seat. But I wanted to show you how you can create an entire textile pattern. I'm really pleased with this. Yes, I could go over here. Yes, I could go over here. Yes, I could come up here. No, I'm not going to do it because I don't need that much fabric made. All right, give me a sec. We're going to put this over on the other side of the room, far away from me so it can dry. Draped and folded. I just want it sitting nicely. Okay. Had to make sure that it wasn't draped so that nothing bad happened. I didn't want it to dry and stick to itself. All right, let me get my fingers a little cleared off here. We're going to go back into some of our HTVA, heat transfer vinyl adhesive. Let me plug in my iron, which I did not do before this because I wasn't sure there was going to be any time, but there is. So I have more flowers, and I created some butterflies that I weeded everything out other than the exterior. Sorry, I'm gonna get all this goo off my fingers because everything I touch now is gonna be sticky. So let's work a couple more of our HTVA pattern on our little apron over here. This is the extra fabric that I bought. So if I really screwed it up, I have another half a yard to work on. And you all know I melted stuff on here. I made a mess of this the other day. That's part of the reason I have the butterflies. I'm using them to hide some of the stuff I messed up on. I actually don't need that on here. What I need is to pull my apron up. I'm putting the apron on the wood because it's a great surface also to iron on. So I'm going to put some more of my little flowers that I weeded out. Let me grab, here we go. Here's another flower. Again, I weeded all of this out. All I have to do is take out the outside. For those who are new to this, heat transfer vinyl adhesive, HVTA, is a material mounted on a backing film that you can put through your Cricut or your Silhouette to cut patterns that you can then weed out. And the stuff that's in my hand that I'm pulling off is actually a vinyl adhesive that when you heat your iron, melts this stuff onto the surface. You can apply foil over it and you can release patterns like we've been doing here. So, okay, I'm fighting the fact that I have also got the duo stuff on my fingers. And I have a little garbage bag next to me. I'm trying not to be as crazy messy as I was with it the other day when I was ironing it onto the bottom of my iron. I made some really big messes. That's why we have some sort of gummy spots right here along the side. Oh yeah, I'm a genius. I tell you, if you don't do it every day, you forget some of the details. Like, oh, not leaving this stuff anywhere near the iron, because then it gets on the bottom of your iron and then you're pressing it and it gets onto what you're pressing. And we all know how much I love to iron anyway. The irons and I, we're such good friends. So close. Every day I want to iron. I know you know I'm lying. All right. Let's take this off. Okay, and then we turn it upside down. Put it right here. And let's put it a little closer. I don't want it quite covering the bunny. Now, everything's stuck to my fingers. Let me grab, where did my parchment paper go? It's way over here. Now, the reason I'm using parchment paper now is because I've already transferred some designs on here. I don't want to take the chance that any loose glue on the surface is going to get on my iron. I've set my iron to wool and I'm pressing this, and as soon as the adhesive under the vinyl turns clear, you see, this is why. This would be sticking to my iron. There's always a little bit of loose stuff when I've done this in the past. So I want to protect all the other things that I was working on. Come in here, just keep heating that adhesive a little bit. should be able to peel it back. There we go. Again, I'm not pulling straight up. I don't want to put tension on that vinyl. I want to make sure that it releases easily. I'll take a little of my Harlow foil, which is the same pattern that we were using on the background of some of these other flowers. Before, we used two different patterns on the flowers. Let's put that over here. Let's see if I can be just a little more organized with this than I was the other day. I'm laying it down. It's best if you do this while it's warm. Come on in. And I'm going to put my iron down here and hold it down for a few seconds. Let me see if there's any questions. Hey, Miss Ashley, nice to see you here. And Sherry, nice to see you. Okay, so I am using my heat transfer vinyl adhesive to bond the foil to it. I am using parchment. This is parchment paper. You can use an ironing towel or anything you want, but parchment paper is my go-to because nothing really sticks to it. It's like wax paper without the wax. It's also why it's used in baking and stuff, because it just sheds everything. And as you can see, there is always a little bit of sticky somewhere. Now, to peel this off, oops, see I missed a spot right there. Let's go grab some that has not been hit with an iron. If you have a troubled release, meaning if you don't get everything released, don't use a piece of foil that you've already ironed over. You will not get a good release with it. Use a fresh piece of foil. Okay, let's let that sit on there. We're going to let that cool. While that cools, I'm going to grab another flower. We're going to put one on the other side of the bunny. The bunny's cute. We love our bunny. Maybe I should move my phone so something bad doesn't happen like it just did. I'm going to move my phone all the way to the other side. I'm going to take that little piece of tape off that I was using to hold that one stable. We'll give me a corner. That's what I need. I need a little corner to help me peel off all the HTVA that is around the cutout. Now we carry all these products that you see me working with. The heat transfer vinyl adhesive. We carry the Deco foil duo. We carry all the foils. I rarely do lives with something that I don't carry because I know it's frustrating to you all. Why would I do lives with products that you can't get from me? But when I do, I tell you where to get them. Okay, let's put this one right here. Okay, take that piece of tape off of me. Get another little piece of our Harlow foil. I'm going to cut the piece of Harlow foil now. Obviously, I don't need it just yet. I have to release. Oh, you see that? I almost forgot to weed that spot out. That would have been a big, messy blob of adhesive right there. Would have made the pattern look like crap. Now, if you see something released here, it's actually the backing film. I got it stuck a little bit on a piece of foil. That won't release onto the surface because there's no adhesive for it to stick to once I pull this film up, because that foil's stuck to the film. It's not stuck to the actual surface. All right, let's put that there. Okay, we're going to let this get warm. We're going to melt this adhesive. I'm determined to make this a cute apron because I haven't done an apron in a while. Last apron I did was for my husband for his birthday a couple years ago, and it came out great. I had a Chicago Bears tile for his charcuterie board, and I did a, chef apron for him. But I haven't made one of these in a while. Oh yeah, that's peeling back really, really nicely. Okay, that And if you notice, it also peels up the dust that I get stuck with things. This apron's been in here for a while. And as I think you heard me say before, when you do this, if you're using something brand new, make sure to wash it first. You want all the fabric sizing out of this, because fabric sizing is something that is done to fabric to treat it, to keep it stable for sewing and cutting during the manufacturing. And if you leave it on while you're doing this, you might actually, when the first time it goes through the wash, be able to, I don't know, have a pattern wash off. Now this material is machine washable on cool. Don't put it in the dryer, because when you put it in the dryer, you reactivate the adhesive and it starts to get gummy and stretchy and crisp. Think about your old iron-on patterns on your t-shirts and stuff, and how after a while they'd start to crack and peel. This stuff will do the same thing. Now let me make sure we're stuck on things. Oh, that looks good. All right, so I'm gonna let that part cool. And we'll do a couple butterflies, and I'll turn the apron around. So I'm gonna see, I'm trying so hard to be organized this time. I really am. I know this, you know, this is killing me to be this tidy, this organized. Okay, that part will cool, we'll peel it off later. Meanwhile, I'm gonna grab one of my little butterflies. All right, I cut 4 of them on a sheet. Now this, when you buy this from us, it comes in 3-foot rolls. That is the minimum size. You can also order patterns pre-cut, not pre-weeded though. You do not want to pay for me to sit here and weed it. That makes things really expensive, because some of these patterns, like the ones for the rabbit, can take quite a while to weed. If you see a pattern that I'm working with and you don't see it on our website, send me a message. I'm constantly working, so that just means I didn't get it on the website that quickly, and I'll be happy to get it on there for you. Let's get that out. Look at that cute little antenna there. Okay. Let's go in here. Come on. Here we are. And what you're seeing on here, the film where it's getting dirty, that's actually my fingerprints from having the duo gel on my hands. And I always, always, always leave this last exterior part until just before I'm ready to use it. Why is that? This stuff is sticky, and it will stick to everything. So I prefer to wait, and that way my design stays a little cleaner. I don't get weird stuff stuck onto it like you saw with the other one that ended up having what was it, the foil stuck to the transfer film. Make sure that's not any gel there. I want to make sure nothing's stuck to here that shouldn't be here, and it is. Okay, so we're going to put that butterfly there. I'm going to put a couple butterflies here to clean where I messed up the other day. Now here I can just put this on right away, because I'm not going to be going over any other pattern here. I don't necessarily have to put the parchment paper on, but I do kind of want to keep my iron moving so that I don't accidentally melt any of that mounting film, making a mess of anything. And you can see it turns from frosty to clear on the surface. And when it's clear, you should be able to peel it back, no problem, and leave the gel adhesive behind, or the vinyl adhesive behind. Let's make sure. And again, I roll it back completely perpendicular, and yes, this can be hot. Oh, that's nice. That came out really nicely. let's use our other striped foil. This is the Zane foil. I'm kind of trying to alternate the two foils so there's a little bit of difference in the patterning. Let's turn it that way on there. Let's that one sideways. So I'm sticking it on while it's still nice and warm. That helps the foil to really release well. Okay, where'd my parchment go? Here we go. My parchment. Again, this film is thinner. I just don't want to take the chance of accidentally melting the carrier film for the foil. These materials are made for heat, but I've got my heat up pretty high on here. I've got it set at wool. And remember, pretty side of your foils up. You want the pattern that you want to see left behind facing you, because the pattern's mounted on the back of the foil or the back of the carrier film. Let's see how adhesive we look. It looks like we need a little more up at the antennas. And just hold that on there for a few seconds. See if anybody's got any questions. Looks like everybody's getting it. And of course, if I say something that doesn't make sense, which can happen, more than I'd like to admit, please put it in the comments, leave me a message, whatever you need to do, because if I'm not being clear, it's my fault if I'm not being clear. It has nothing to do with you understanding or not understanding. It means that I'm not getting you the information in a way that makes sense to you. That is something I'm very serious about, because I know when I do stuff like this, I can get distracted. I lose my words all the time. I'm thinking about what I'm doing, and then I say something that sounds strange and it won't make sense. So I want you all to make sure that you can feel comfortable asking me anything, because I guarantee you, if you don't understand what I said, it is not you, it's me. Let's get this backing film off, or the extra adhesive off. Let's weed out right in there so I have my cute little butterfly pattern. Okay, so I'm gonna put this one over some of the mess that's right there. And I know I'm going to have an issue because I'm going right on this corner seam. So I'm going to have to, ooh, there is a piece of adhesive that's stuck right in there. I don't want that to melt onto the surface. So let's make sure I throw it out. But I got some funny spots that I got to deal with. And this is pretty common. I'm also off the edge of my little wooden sun cutout that I use for my press board. Okay, let's, again, there is another piece. See, the stuff wants to stick to everything, and you're gonna find it in the odd spots. And if I can scrape some of the mistakes off with my fingernail before I hit it with the iron again, you know that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, and because I'm going over areas that are near foil and my iron's big, I'm putting on that piece of parchment. It's not because the film that mounts the vinyl adhesive can't handle the heat. It's because I've got other stuff nearby that I don't want to burn with my iron. I don't want to remelt the adhesive. I don't want to do something really dumb. I'm actually trying to be super careful and efficient, not my normal bull in a china shop kind of self. So I'm watching it to see if we're melting everywhere, and it's going to take a little extra work because I've got that pocket seam. So I keep going back. See, that's not melted enough. under here. I'm trying very hard to protect the good things that I did and keep from making any big boo-boos. See that one spot right there just does not want to melt. So we're going to hold it on here for a minute. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, I think I had a piece of stuff that stuck to the paper. I think we're okay. Yeah, it still doesn't want to, right there. We're just going to have to do it little by little, I think. I'm going to have to play this very carefully. Because I really want this to come out nicely. And when you have these little odd seam corners, this is where things can get really tricky. Things don't want to stay down, they want to pull up. You can lose small details. Let's see if I can get that to come down now. This really wants to be stinky right here, right at that seam. And I knew that was going to be it. And there's another seam here, so it's going to be challenging me here. It's like anything like this. If there's a seam, it's going to be hard. Because you've got an uneven surface. And there we go, we got it off. And I think we're going to use a little piece of Harlow. Oh, I had that. Nope, that's not a cool. I can use a piece. There's some here. We're going to make all our butterflies the two different patterns. Okay, and I'm going to take my parchment paper again and heat it up again. Hey Sarah, nice to see you here. Okay, let's get this all pressed. We want that adhesive nice and hot to grab onto the foil. And then we're going to let it cool. This absolutely works best if you let the foil cool where you've had the heat on there. The reason is if you try to peel it up when it's hot, it'll be gummy and you'll pull it back and it'll be stringy and you'll lose all the details because you'll be pulling up strings of adhesive instead of the adhesive staying stuck to the fabric and then the foil sticking to it. So again, we're going to work these little edges and stuff because I already know from applying this that it was a challenging spot. Of course, I'm the one who got the mess on that spot to begin with that I needed to fix. All right, so we're going to let that side cool. I'm going to rotate this. We're going to see how cool the other spots are, so maybe I'll be able to pull those up, and then we'll move on to a couple other butterflies or plants or something. Okay, this is nice and cool here. And we're getting a really, look how pretty that release is. That's really pretty. Now, I think I could do a little better right there. This is a spot that hasn't had any heat on it. So again, I'm going to tear my parchment paper in half just to give me a smaller, more manageable size to work with on the small project. So I'm just going to iron this some more here, release a little foil onto that top of that petal, that I think needed a little more. And we'll let that cool. We're going to pull this one off. Oh, that one looks good. Look how pretty that released. Love this. Love this. Very, very happy. And again, if you have a spot like I did right here, don't use a piece of foil that you've already ironed. You will not get a good release from it. Use a piece of foil that is brand fresh and new. You'll be much happier. Okay, so I'm gonna I have a couple more pieces of flowers and stuff. So I'm gonna release, let's see, that's cooled. Oh yeah, the butterfly came out fantastic. Look how cute that is. All right, let's take, I have a couple more patterns here to release over and complete my sort of wildflower line at the bottom. Now, if you're doing lettering, because you put this in the cutter with the adhesive part this side with this stuff on it up, remember to mirror your lettering because you have to put it down. So if it reads correctly when you're looking at it this way, when you put it down this way, it'll read in reverse. So make sure to use the mirror function on your cutter and make sure you mirror your words so that as you're weeding it, it doesn't look correct, because when you turn it upside down, it will look correct. It's pouring rain out and people are sort of, they're actually kind of hanging out and being silly in the street in the rain, which is entertaining to me. I think we'll do just this last one because we've been on for a while, and I'll finish these up off camera and I'll take pictures of this apron tomorrow or tonight later, and we'll post it on Facebook and on other social media, and I think you guys are going to really like it. We'll make this the last one we do again today so that you, darn, that stuff is stretchy. Oh, come on off of there. Now, you just saw me put that on the back of my hand. It doesn't stick. It was just a little static that was sticking it there. The stuff that's sticky is the backing material. Okay, we're going to put this one right over the other, sort of, move it just a little bit this way. Because, you know, flowers and plants all grow in front and in back of each other. So let's grab my parchment paper. Again, because I'm going over stuff I've already done, I want to protect it. Here and see how it's melting. It needs a little more. So once it turns from frosty to very, very clear, you should be able to roll it right back and take it off. The plastic backing film will be hot. Be careful. I haven't done this much ironing in a year and a half. Okay, that. And let's roll this right on back. Oh, perfect release. I'm so happy. That in the garbage. Don't stick to my paper. Let's get a little more of this. And we're going to put it on here. And then I'm going to put my parchment that I keep dropping right over it. And again, we're going to give a good pressing to this. Again, my setting is at wool. That's what my iron works best at. You're going to each have to check your own iron to make sure you get the setting that works best for you. I cannot guarantee you what setting works best. I tell you to start at silk and see how it goes. You might need it really hot. That's how my iron works. You might be able to use it cooler, which would be very nice. Okay, let's see how we're grabbing here. I need a little more up high. Okay, so we're going to let the sticky stuff there cool off. This is cool, so we'll peel that back. Yep, I got a little more release on those petals. Let's see how my butterfly did, because this was a rough one, folks. That actually came out pretty well. I cannot complain with how that came out. All right, everyone, this is going to cool. I'm going to do the rest of them off camera. I will see you all later. Have a fantastic weekend. I'm not even going to flip the camera up to say goodbye because you guys, this is prettier than I am. All right, everyone. Have a great one. Talk to you later. Bye.